And there it is. We are live. We are on for the first time in. It feels like far too long.
Way too long. I love how we were like, we're gonna kick it up this year. We're gonna do like more. We're gonna get through more Pokemon, and then just we've had technical issues with Zoom, technical issues with Bulbapedia, like clashes in every possible calendar it could be, and like we are into March and we're on our third stream. That is poor form, and my time is getting more and more full up. I fucking tell you that, pal.
Well, that's that's because you're so like that's because you are getting a lot of recognition and what's the I was going to say correct recognition, the recognition you deserve. So I'm very very pleased that your band stuff is taking off in the way that it is. So what's been happening?
Um, I mean, you basically said it, band stuff.
Hmm?
I've done a bunch of gigs with my band
Yeah.
and it's gone really well.
Hmm?
And yeah, we want to do some more. That's it.
Lovely.
That's where we are. The EP's still not out. We've got two singles out, but not an EP yet.
I don't know enough about music to know what the difference is.
So, right, single, pal. There's a one single song. The clue is in the name.
Right,
And the
right, right, right,
EP is an extended play, which is not as long as a full album,
right.
but it's like maybe half an hour of songs, whereas your album will be closer to an hour of songs. So you release a single, and that's like your teaser for what your EP is going to be.
Right.
You release your EP, and that's your teaser for what your whole band's sound is going to be. And it usually contains the single that you released. And then once you've got some eyes on the EP, that shows people that you're a good band and you get some gigs in. And then once you've got a full album's worth of material, you release your album.
Right. See that?
Usually you wouldn't reuse the same stuff as the EP because it takes a lot longer. But yeah, we've got two singles out, which you can find on like Bandcamp and everywhere you stream your music. And we've got three more that are going to be joining them on the full EP
So do you have a link for
when it's
that?
mixed. No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, whack
I've
it in.
got a.
Whack it in.
Okay. Okay. I'll do that. Um, yeah. So I'll just chuck our link tree in where you can get the links to all of our social channels and streaming platforms and also direct links to the like lander links for everywhere you can stream the two singles we have now.
Lovely stuff. Like I say, I am buzzing for your what is very very well earned amount of credit that you are getting.
Thank
Uh,
you.
like I mean, I've shown that I don't know very much about music, right? In the fact that I had to ask you what an EP was. Um,
You didn't even ask me what an EP was. You asked what the difference between an EP and a single was,
uh,
which I think is funnier because like a single is pretty self-explanatory.
I've said since podcast number one, this is a learning podcast as far as I'm concerned, and I'm always learning. Um, and now I know that single means one. So
I'm so proud of you.
thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't want to brag or nothing, but now I know what people say mean when they say "fuck off, you single prick." But if they'd have called me
I
an EP dickhead, I also know.
I
That,
think you'll know I'm comprised of at least five singles in a trench coat.
that's, that's why it's black and white, black and white. These are all CDs, and that's a vinyl. They're called vinyls, aren't they? And then another
Mm.
CD, and then another vinyl.
Ooh.
I tell you this, right? This T-shirt that I'm wearing right now, I was gonna go out just wearing this T-shirt, and I looked in the mirror and I saw Pugsley Adams looking back at me, and I was like, Right, the a shirt's going.
No,
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 honestly, it's true.
Pugsley's bald, pal.
Well, I suppose from the neck down. Um, but you know, there's a
I
reason.
think he's got a vibe. I think the whole Adams family are very well dressed.
Well, I agree, but there's a reason why Wednesday gets their own series and Pugsley don't.
I mean, sure, yeah.
I've just seen. I'm assuming that's Johnny. A single is like a Farfetched, an EP is a Speardo, and an album is a full stage Pigeon Line. Yeah, do you know what? That's right. There we go. And now we're
I
back.
think Johnny should be on this podcast.
I've been saying this for ages.
They're in the chat every fucking time, being funnier than us,
That
and frequently more knowledgeable about Pokemon as well.
that is not hard as far as I am concerned. Um, yes, I am now a an author of numerous comedy books. Since we
Ooh.
last spoke. In fact, and you are also an illustrator of a comedy book. So
I feel like layout design is closer to what I did than illustrate.
okay, so
I didn't
what's
draw any pictures.
I know this is going almost slightly back, but what's the difference between an illustrator and a I don't know.
So an illustrator like illustrates, they draw pictures.
Right,
Like Quentin Blake illustrated the Roald Dahl books,
right,
right? Because he drew the pictures.
right.
They still had someone like lay out the pages separately in a way that the pictures and the words fit together. I didn't draw you any pictures. If you were expecting that, I'm sorry.
Honestly, I learned so much on this channel. If we can get that in a Pokemon thing that I can understand, I would also appreciate it.
So, whatever psychic type puts all the unknowns in the right order would be like the layout design, and the Smeagol would be the illustrator.
Right, there we go, there we
Yeah,
go. Right,
yeah,
brilliant. Well, I'm just going to put the link for that in the chat. And my second book got approved today. So
Oh,
that's on there as
exciting.
well, yeah. And I'm working on a third book, which is going to be all about like early days. What I'm thinking like 100 improv things you can do at home.
Oh, cool. Well, you know, give me a shout if you need an illustrator.
Shall do, mate. If I need a psychic type, no, a Smeagol,
Smeagol.
I will chat with a Smeagol. Um,
Smeagol.
um, right, shall we? Right, shall we
Should
do the
we do some
drawings?
drawings?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do the drawings.
Do some
Do you want to go
drawings.
first?
So, yeah. So I actually did these drawings so long ago, I forgot I'd done them. And then I panicked when we were like setting up, like, fuck, have I done my drawings? But I did. I did them when we were first supposed to do this podcast nearly 2 months ago. So I shall show you my Nidoqueen. And this is her.
Oh, pretty cool. Like it.
Like, I don't know if you can tell, but after I got all riled up with like Nidoran female and Nidorina being all like, oh, they're so nurturing and they're such feminine Pokemon, I got a bit annoyed and I was like, this Nidoqueen will fuck your shit up if you go near her babies. You
Yeah.
know, that was the vibe I was going for. I feel like that's an energy I'm going to bring to this whole podcast, as I have done for the last two, frankly. Like,
Yeah.
at this point, you know what you're in for. Let's see yours, pal.
Right, here we go. I was the same, where I'd forgotten that I'd done mine. So,
Are we the same person?
basically, I think there's a psychiatrist that probably is. If they ever watch this, they'll be like, I'm quitting if I ever meet either of them two. So this is what I went for. So this was inspired by the Pokemon trading card game, which is like my main.
Yeah. You draw
memory.
a lot of inspiration from the TGC.
So this is what I went with.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I see it.
Yeah.
I recognize the cards. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, so this is kind of. I think it's meant to be kind of like a barren desert, if I remember right.
Yeah, because they're desert dwelling, burrowing Pokemon, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was saying just before we started that I felt like this is going to be one of the shorter ones.
When is it ever? Stop saying that. You're the reason it's so long because you say that at the beginning of every fucking show, and then we waffle for 4 hours about nothing.
Look, I got to learn what a Smeargle is, and I won't let you go
Yeah, you
until
got
it's
some
happened.
homework to do before we get to the next generation.
Oh mate, I'll be drawing my pension by the point we're on Gen 2.
I am impressed you think that anyone of our generation is seeing a pension.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true. I'll be
Right,
eating
right.
people.
If I may go on a fucking tangent,
Yeah.
have you or anyone in the audience? I think Johnny may have. Has anyone seen the new video from the leftist cooks that talks about their car getting stolen? I'm gonna
Uh,
take that as a no, Tom.
I don't require cars or theft to be
Right.
described.
So but, so basically the video is really good. I recommend going and watching it. It's just called Someone Stole Our Car or something like that. And it's about like how poverty has long-term impacts on you. And they use like the marshmallow test,
Oh, I know that. I do know
yeah,
that.
as a metaphor, where like they put a marshmallow in front of a kid and they say if you can wait 15 minutes, like this is yours and you can eat it, but if you wait 15 minutes you can have two. Um and at first they were just like, oh, look at the greedy paws, like all eating the marshmallow. And it's like actually, um, if you do that test under different circumstances, it's kids who are like, I don't trust where my next meal is coming from, who are more likely to eat it sooner because this is guaranteed. They also did a version where they showed the adult who told them they can have two later being untrustworthy, and the kids who saw the adult like lie to someone or break a promise were more likely to eat the marshmallow because they were like, well, you talk shit, so why would I believe you when you say you're going to give me two?
Mm.
And they extrapolated that out to like how poor people make decisions that put them in a worse financial decision, in a worse financial position, because they go, well, I have this money now and I need this thing. I can put it aside um, for hopefully something tomorrow. But at the same time, another expense might come in, like another random tax, another rent increase, like another bill increase that's going to take this money away from me without resolving the thing. May as well just resolve the thing instead of put it off to when I have more of a cushion. And one of the examples they used, and this is what made me think of it. One of the examples they used was why people who don't have a lot of money find it harder to save for retirement and put extra money into their pension uh, when they're arguably like to have less money later on. And it's because they don't trust the government to like give that money back. They don't trust, the retirement age not to rise and the life expectancy age to decrease at such a point that they will even have a retirement to
Yeah.
do. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I started opting out of my pension like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I don't have one anymore because I'm like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die young and beautiful.
Yeah.
And I even if like even if I don't like doesn't even if I make it to like 80, that's already basically the pension age anyway,
Yeah.
and it's still going up. Like, why fucking bother
Yeah.
putting
Agreed.
aside money for a time that I don't expect to live to
Yeah.
when I need it now?
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm exactly the same. So I'm sure I've told this story. I don't think on this podcast, but I've definitely told the story that so my dad died when he was 60, and
Hmm.
and as a result, I'm like, you know what? I saw someone save for their pension and never get to pension age. It's like, so I don't have any. That's definitely affected my impetus to have one.
Yeah. If I could cash out my pension now, I probably would spend that money on something else.
Believe me, mate. If I
But I
could,
don't. I don't. That's not an option for me, unfortunately.
if
Um,
I could cash out my pension, I'd spend that £20 down Ladbrokes right now.
To be fair, I have worked some places that had quite generous pension contributions, but like they're still not that much.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like I'd still rather have the money that I would have now than later because I don't expect to see it later.
mm.
I'm putting the video that I was going on about that is very, very good and goes into much more detail than me
Yeah,
in the chat because I would recommend watching it if you haven't. And all of their stuff is very good. Anyway, should we carry on talking about Pokemon and
yeah,
not
mate. What do you want to show
and not
your?
like pensions and poverty?
Look, we're talking about the royalty of the Pokemon world, so this was going to come up.
Uh, Support us on Patreon so that I don't have to get a pension.
Yes, do it, do it, do it. Support us on Patreon, so we have one Patreon.
So you have one patron, and then you just get to like I don't know. We don't have any patrons yet. So you don't got any perks. Like you just have whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah. I'll do whatever you want. I've got very low self esteem and very low morals. Um, what was your Nidoking picture?
I think it's pretty basic.
Yeah.
I didn't get too creative with this one, but I just did him like this.
Oh, pretty cool, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Mine looks very, very similar. And I, annoyingly, I actually wanted it to be quite cool. So I mentioned this in the episode. I have no doubt that my main memory of Nidoking is Gary Oak's Nidoking,
Hmm.
and that Nidoking and Arcanine battle Mewtwo.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, right, I'm gonna watch that episode, get a little bit of inspiration. Do you know how much screen time Gary Oak's Nidoking gets against Mewtwo?
I don't know, like 30 seconds, if that.
Divide that by 30, mate. 1 second. Like, literally, Gary goes, there you go, Nidoking, and then he goes, get after him. And it's like, literally, you see them run towards Mewtwo, and then Mewtwo just batters Arcanine, and Nidoking might as well not be there. And I was like, this is this is very disappointing, because I had it in my head. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the Mewtwo like when he's all armored, and I'll have him like throwing Nidoking against the wall. But actually, that's Arcanine that I had like imagined.
Ah.
So I was like, right, well, I don't feel like I can do that. So I went to the TCG again. Mine, I think, looks very, very similar to yours.
Nice. Yeah.
I do feel like
I think yours has got like chunkier pecs than mine.
He's obviously got BO coming from him and all. But that is how he looks on the TCG.
Okay.
Like all these like colours coming off him, but it does look like he has had a big old dad fart.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with those kind of like action backgrounds that they do. It's like if you get them a little bit off, they come out looking a bit funny.
Mm.
Oh well. I think it's cool. I
Yeah.
get it. I'm not looking at that and going, I couldn't guess what Pokemon that is, you know?
I mean, I do feel like I fucked up his face a bit and all. Like I feel like his face should end here, but he's obviously melted a bit.
I have to look at mine to figure out what. I think. Yeah, I don't know. Mine's got like mine's mouth comes further out under his eye and has a bigger horn. But I don't know if that's just how it is in my head or if that's how it's supposed to be. But people watching at home, look out for our socials in the next little while, and you get to choose
Yes.
whose was best.
Oh, I'll tell you one thing that I did notice as well, right? I felt like your Nidoqueen had bigger tits than mine.
I mean, I feel like, you know,
Just because
they
you
were
mentioned my Nidokeen's...
Nidoqueen had pretty big tits in the show and the game. Like,
Mate,
first
I'm not
Pokemon with
judging.
tits.
Yeah,
Like,
there you go. I'm learning. I'm
I
continually learning.
I don't think either of them feel hugely inaccurate to how Nidoqueen's tits look in the thing. I think mine's ears are a bit big.
You know what? I'd not noticed that because of the tits.
Her ears are up here, Tom. Where the fuck are you looking? Rude bastard.
Right, right, mate. Should we go into the main episode?
Yeah.
Right, here we
So,
go.
NidokingQuenn.
Yeah,
What do
NidokingQuenn.
we have to say about NidokingQuenn?
Um, so NidokingQuenn, I don't have massive amounts to say about NidokingQuenn. I feel like I've had one.
Yep,
I probably stuck it in a box. Um,
yep,
I remember Giovanni has one,
yep.
and I'm fairly certain that I might have even forgotten that had we not done the previous two episodes in which we were like, Giovanni's got a NidokingQuenn, and because it's been so long between this episode and the last episode, when we've recorded it, like there's a good chance I could have forgotten that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's not massive amounts beyond, and I think that they're quite good in the card game.
Okay. Yeah, cool. I can see them being pretty good in the card game. I feel like, yeah, like I don't, like I said, I played the card game video game like once
Yeah,
and I didn't have a NidokingQuenn. Um, but I can see it working well in the card game now that I know about it.
yeah,
Yeah, I think I would be the same. I had a NidokingQuenn, definitely dumped it in the box. Um, never really used one competitively on a team. Um, yeah, Giovanni had one, and I remember there being some like scattered around the background of the show. Like, there would have been one in the film with Mewtwo.
oh yeah, there is.
Um,
Yeah, uh,
they're around. I feel like someone had one in one of the Orange Islands episodes,
yeah,
but I haven't seen them in so long, and I kind of want to rewatch them because, like, they did more fun and interesting things than just battling all the time, and
mm,
that's that. Ever since then, that's been the Pokemon game I've wanted to play.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I don't think I could accurately pinpoint a specific instance where NidokingQuenn had like a big storyline,
yeah,
rather than just being like a Pokemon um in a big group.
yeah. I want to say as well, if I remember correctly, I want to say there might be a pink Nidoqueen
Uh,
in the
in
pink
the Island of the
Rhyhorn.
Pink
Yeah,
Pokemon. Yeah, the one where there's pink everything. That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this feels like probably one of the more overlooked ones.
Yeah.
And
For a Pokemon that's like kind of tanky and cool to look at
mm,
and is like in Giovanni's big scary beasts team,
yeah,
um
yeah,
not
uh,
not really utilized narratively very
mm,
much. And but I tell you what, I should tell you I think why this happened. Because I was gonna say I don't know why, and then I immediately realized why.
go on.
I feel like they've given, and we'll see this when it comes to the Pokedex entries, they've given NidokingQuenn a nurturing, mothering personality, and they have given every single nurturing, mothering personality plotline to Kangaskhan
Yeah,
because it's the mother Pokemon. Like they've separated Nidoking and Nidoqueen into the masculine and feminine in the form of Pokemon, right? Where Nidoking is going to be, as we can see, we saw in Nidorino and Nidorino, I feel like the pattern is just going to continue.
yeah,
There's not going to be a nice bait and switch where all of a sudden Nidoking is very cuddly.
yeah,
The like they they've given Nidoking this like aggressive, powerful, like I will protect you with my rage. I will get so angry if you threaten my family. Big angry dad vibe.
yeah,
And they've given Nidoqueen like the nurturing, stay at home, make sure the babies are all safe, make sure they're borrowed away, kind of have a cozy place to shelter while the dad is off being ragey and angry to predators, mothery vibe. but then they didn't leave themselves anywhere else to go in terms of developing a Nidoqueen as like a social animal,
Mm.
in the way that some of the others were.
Yeah.
Very specifically because Kangaskhan's the parent Pokemon. Like Kangaskhan is the one that has a baby with it. Kangaskhan is the one that gets those nurturing plot lines. Like Pikachu's backstory, if you've seen the episode from the newer series, it shows you Pikachu back when it was a Pichu
Mm.
and it evolving into a Pikachu because it felt um familial love from a Kangaskhan that adopted it and it grew up in its pouch along with its baby. And then when it became a Pikachu and the Kangaskhan had to go somewhere else, I forget the exact narrative. That's how Pikachu ended up with Professor Oak.
Ah.
And was resistant to being around people because it had grown up with this loving, nurturing family of Pokemon. Um, and you know, that's the kind of story they might have given Nidoqueen. Like Pikachu could have been involved, could have joined like a little herd of Nidoran
Yeah.
and been a part of the pack or something like that.
Yeah.
That would have been cute. It would have been the exact same story. Nothing would have needed to have changed apart from the fact that like it's just the other nurturing Pokemon.
Yeah.
But it means that like they they don't have anywhere to go with it. They've
Yeah.
just got the one storyline and they've already given it to something else.
Yeah.
Wrote
They,
themselves into a corner there, I think.
yeah. By not giving it a pouch.
Not giving it a pouch. No, by giving it the same backstory as like another Pokemon,
You can just
you know?
imagine them now going, get that pouch off its belly now. It's like, well, what am I going to put in its place? Give it massive tits. Give it massive tits, me dog.
Right?
Um,
I feel like that was it. They were like
mm,
Kangaskhan gets the pouch for its baby, and Nidoqueen gets like food for the baby through its tits. Like
yeah,
it's milk glands in there, I guess.
yeah.
Despite being like a weird mashup of like mammal and reptilian in terms of design.
There you go. And it
Yeah.
even lost that due to Miltank coming in the next generation.
Yeah, it's not even the milk Pokemon anymore.
Um,
Although I do feel like I am okay with Nidoran not being the Pokemon that you milk because like Nidoran has udders and Nidoqueen has tits and like that's just an entirely like it's just wrong. You know what I mean?
oh,
Like you milk things that have udders, you don't milk things that have tits.
uh,
And I mean if you're into that personally, sure, but like
you know,
you know
I just want to clarify. You know, I often say I learn a lot on this podcast. That was not Nidoran. You know, Nidoqueen has tits and Miltank has udders. That was
That's
not
that's
something I required.
why Miltank is the milk Pokemon.
Oh. Um,
Like, if you
but I
had to
think you might
milk a
have something there.
Nidoqueen, it'd be so uncomfortable. You'd just get the weirdest perverts
You know,
offering to milk the Nidoqueen.
you'd be like, "Did you bring the pump? Did you bring the pump?"
Oh, they'd offer to like,
Yeah.
go
Oh.
in manually.
Oh. What, like me, myself, and Irene? That scene. Oh. So I think that you might have some. I think you might have some. I think you might be right there. I think um,
Hang on.
Kangaskhan may well be. Oh, go on.
Safi's just said, look in its eyes while you milk them. Like, bad Safi. Like, get to the horny jail.
Oh. Oh.
Oh dear, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, disgusting, disgusting. I tell you what, right? We've never done this before, but before we went into this, I was drinking so much water. Would you mind if I just very quickly went for a break?
Okay, yeah, go for it, pal.
Thank you. I'll put on the break screen so it's official.
I feel like I feel like it's mean of me to say this when Tom's not here, but I feel like he's very much opened himself up to a joke to be like he's not going for a piss. He hasn't been drinking lots of water. What what he's done, he's gone for a little personal moment thinking about Nidoqueen's milky tits. Oh, I have not had any alcohol today, and I have this dirty mouth.
Oh.
So I really hope you don't mind. Anyway, he's back, and I definitely didn't say
Do you know,
anything untoward.
do you know, I on purposely
So
went.
you're worse than me.
I on purposely went really quick, so that I could be like, I don't want anyone to think that I've had to run off because of the weird milk chat.
That was exactly what I was saying.
Right. Well, this was originally going to be a bit of break that I cut out, but no, that's staying in now.
No, I just monologued about how into Nidoqueen's milky tits you are.
Oh, yeah, that's staying in.
And Safi encouraged me, so you can't say it's just me.
Look, I would have never said it was just you when I know that Saf is involved. But yeah, honestly, I was just like, I cannot continue this podcast. But yes, I do. I think you've got a really good point there. And I'd never thought about it before. Like, that could be on a piece of, like, did you know gaming? Like, that's how good I thought
I
it
could
was.
believe, I could 100% believe that, like, the writers didn't necessarily anticipate what they were going to do with every Pokemon when they came up with them, and sort of didn't realize how parallel they were, and then just every time they had like a nurtury storyline leading to Kingston. I don't think it's intentional. I don't think they tried to overlook Nidoqueen, but I think that at the end of the day, it was too similar to a Pokemon that was more distinct
Yeah.
and stand out.
Yeah. And I think it's a real shame because I feel like they could go down that route, but I've been saying, I think in a previous episode, so it's like there's no reason why you couldn't have gone down like the Black Widow route with Nidoqueen.
Yeah.
And been like,
yeah,
or like the Lioness, like
yeah, or like the stories of like mothers who like lift cars up off their child. They just suddenly get the strength to be insanely. Have you seen? There's a photo, like a wildlife photo, where like there's like a boar attacking a baby elephant, and then the mother elephant just comes out of nowhere and kicks the shit out of it. Like that's what they could have done. They could have made Nidoqueen this fucking tank that's like Nidoqueen has all of these like nurtury things. They could have like pulled a few of Chansey's special moves in to make it like the healing cozy Pokemon. Like it can have the ones that will protect a whole team, useful in like double and triple battles. But then been like, but if it's babies or trainer or team for competitive use are going to be attacked, it's a fucking rampaging monster.
Yeah.
And there is like nothing. They could have made it such a beast.
Yeah.
And like, I think we're going to see it has like okay stats, or it wouldn't be in Giovanni's beast team. But I also think, yeah, they have missed a trick. I feel like I'm gonna have all the same issues that I have had with Nidorina and Nidoran female in the way that we get to Nidoqueen's Pokedex entries, and it's gonna be fine, but I feel like there's gonna be a lot of missed potential.
Yeah, I think that you may be correct there, and I'm guessing this is going to be another one where we will see the Pokedex entries change after the anime comes out.
Yeah, and I reckon it's gonna suddenly abruptly shift in tone to be less stereotypical in Sun and Moon again. Because I actually feel like Sun and Moon, based on the past few episodes that we've done, by far has the best Pokedex entries. And I think that I'm actually really intrigued to get to that generation, and I'm very tempted to replay it.
Well,
based on what the conversations that we've had about it recently.
I mean, if that's not a good enough reason, then I don't know what is. Right. Well, should we do that then? Should we go
What,
into?
replay it?
No, well, I mean,
Go
I
into the
don't mind.
Pokedex entries. Yeah, Pokedex entries. Let's do Pokedex entries.
Right, let's do it. Okie doke. We're on the screen now. So there they are there with massive mammary glands. And they've put the like lightness on them. Like those are definitely concave rather than convex. I also don't like the fact that they've made the horn so small on the top again. Yeah, I don't like it. Okie doke. We got the Pokedex entries here. So we've got red and blue. Its hard scales provide strong protection. It uses its hefty bulk to execute powerful moves. So are we thinking that? Are we thinking that?
I think that's okay. I think that one's actually not too bad in terms of what I was anticipating. In terms of its like, you know, I can already see glancing ahead. I can see things about like protecting its young and stuff, which is like fine.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it's a bit doesn't really tell me much.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I mean, my initial thought was when you read it on its own that hard scales provide strong protection. It's like you might initially think that that's for itself, but actually, I think they're already maybe starting to seed that kind of nurturing stuff in there, like protection. You could easily extend that to protect its young rather than just for itself.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that being true.
Yeah.
The next one actually does give me a bit more context. Tough scales cover the sturdy body of this Pokemon. It appears that the scales grow in cycles. So that shows me the Yellow Professor has been observing these creatures for some time. The fact that the only thing he's noticed is that it grows scales in cycles implies that Nidoqueen is a boring-ass fucking Pokemon if that's the only thing you can highlight. But maybe I'm getting a vibe that Nidoqueen's going to have quite high defense stat, maybe?
It also makes me go, that will hopefully mean that our theory on it being milked will be difficult, because how do you milk something with scales?
You don't normally milk things with scales, yeah. Do you get armadillo milk?
I don't...
This is what I'm saying, it's like, it's kind of mammal, kind of reptile.
Yes.
Because reptiles are more likely to have scales, but it also has tits. Which is a mammalian thing.
Oh, I'm loving how much I'm learning on this. I'm just Googling, can you milk an armadillo?
Can you milk an armadillo?
You know what, right? I've just put it in on Google, right? And you know when like Google drops down, do you know what the number one was? What the number one...
Can you milk a Nidoqueen?
No. I wish it was that. I wish it was that, right? You're not going to believe it. Right, I've not typed in, can you milk an armadillo yet. I've just put in, can you milk a? And Google has said, do you wish to search for, can you milk a chicken?
Okay.
He's Googling that. He's Googling that. Can you milk a chicken? Can you milk a chicken? You can milk an armadillo.
Okay.
Confirmed.
Cool.
So,
nice.
There we go. And then the next one is, do armadillos have teats?
Well, if you can milk them, presumably.
Yeah.
Saf. Right. So Saf has said you can milk anything if you have the courage. You can only milk things that have milk glands. Right? So mammals. You can't milk a fish, no matter how hard you try.
Or a chicken.
They don't produce milk. Or a chicken.
That's what sort of...
Chickens don't produce milk. You can milk any mammal and monotremes. You know what monotreme is, Tom? Do you want to learn something else?
I do. I feel like we've become a full-on education podcast.
About some stupid bullshit, Tom. A monotreme is it has most of the characteristics of a mammal, but it lays eggs instead of giving birth to live young. So a platypus is a monotreme because it doesn't quite fit into into the mammal category or the reptile category. Because like reptiles lay eggs and mammals give birth to live young.
Wow. God, honestly,
Mm.
I hope that we can get that into like a Pokemon style, with the
I
Smeargle
am
thing from earlier.
there is definitely a platypus Pokemon. There has got to be.
I'm not sure there is.
I feel like lots of Pokemon have probably been like they have some platypus elements.
I mean, Psyduck's kind of platypus-like, but that might
So,
just
I
because
mean,
of the
Psyduck's a
beak.
duck. Okay, so apparently Ludicolo is platypus-like, which I guess makes sense because it's got like a big beak. But I mean, it's just got a beak, to be honest.
Oh, do you know what? Right, it's just popped up on Google. Right, Psyduck, stroke platypus. The inspiration for this Pokemon is
Was
the
okay,
platypus.
but
Yeah,
it's
but
definitely a duck.
yeah, definitely a duck. I agree. Definitely a
But then
duck.
I do feel like, yeah, okay. Huh. All right, cool.
Yeah. So there you go. But I would agree if someone said to me, Psyduck is a bit platypus-like, I'd be like, it is a duck. But I think it must just
Yeah,
be
if there were a
the
duck
big
in
bill.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's less obviously a duck than like ducklet,
Yeah.
but it's still a duck.
And
Anyway,
you couldn't call it like Cypos because that sounds
that
like a genre.
that sounds someone else. Anyway, Stadium Professor
Yeah.
says it's super hard, needle-like scales stand up when excited. It uses its hefty bulk for performing powerful moves. So it's not just so its scales are also
Kind of
offensive as well as defensive.
Yeah, kind of porcupine
Like
like.
like they are needle-like scales. So I guess that means like the horns and the ones down its back.
Mm.
Oh, I like gold. I like its body is covered with needle-like scales. It never shows signs of shrinking from any attack. That makes it sound pretty cool. That's a pretty um powerful like approach to battle. I feel like the context offered by Silver is interesting. It uses its scaly, rugged body to seal the entrance of its nest and protect its young from predators. So I guess it's like bulk and its scales and its points. Like if they block a whole entrance, like and it that's why it's not backing down from attacks because it's protecting its babies and its home. Which again is like I did anticipate that this was going to be a lot of what they said about Nidoqueen. But I mean, I think it's cute that they work together.
Yeah.
I guess I can't fault that. I think that's quite interesting that like not one or the other.
I tell you something that I
Is a
do find odd though, right? And we have feel free to correct me on this because I'm going into this feel like I might be wrong. Nidoqueen can't have young.
Yeah, but well, it can have young when it's a Nidoran and then evolve, and it like its babies are still its babies after it's evolved. It's still their parent.
Mm. It's just, I mean, we've mentioned this before. It's really odd that you'd think that Nidoqueen and Nidoking would be the ones.
Yeah, it's weird that they didn't like retroactively update that once they got the technology too. Like I understand why they didn't the first time, sure, but like later on they could have. Crystal has the hard scales that cover a strong body, serve as excellent protection from any attack. Stadium 2 reuses silver. I feel like we're not getting a lot of new information.
Yeah.
Like they're not observing a lot about Nidoqueen.
Yeah.
I think they just didn't really. I think they. You know what I think? I think they wrote a bunch of shit about protecting its young, and then they saw they'd done the exact same thing for Kangaskhan and went, "Fuck, we've got to rewrite this." And they were like, "Right, what have we got for this one?" They looked at it and went, "Scales. Let's just focus on that. These big plates, these armor plates we've drawn onto it, these big titty plates, we'll focus on those because what we've done is we've given it tits and made it a mother, and we can't focus on tits because it's for children, and Kangaskhan's taken all the mothering points." I think that's what they've done, and that's why these are very one note.
Yeah, well, do you know what? Weirdly, I don't actually view. I never think of Nidoqueen and think scales.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
Like I can see why they're saying scales in a way, but I think of it more as like plates, like big plates.
I say
It
I.
doesn't look it like I would think of like Sandshrew as having scales.
Yeah, no, I agree. I view that as having like scales. Um, for me, it's like I think because it starts off rabbit-like, it's like I view it as still having like kind of
Yeah.
short fur.
Fleshy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a bit like how like how like a staffy is.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
can see that.
yeah, that's kind of more how I would imagine it. But now I'm thinking about it, they do kind of make it a little bit dinosaur-like, don't they, towards the end?
Yeah. 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 All right. Ruby and Sapphire have Nidoqueen's body is encased in extremely hard scales. It is adept at sending foes flying with harsh tackles. This Pokemon is at its strongest when it's defending its young. Okay.
Oh god, that
Yeah.
made me.
And yeah, Emerald is basically the same. It is adept at sending who's flying with harsh tackles using its tough, scaly body. This Pokemon is at its strongest when it's defending its young, which I mean, I guess is that parallel I brought up earlier of like, mothers who lift the car off their children.
Yeah.
Although I don't know why that's such a common enough thing that it's become a cliche. How many like they can't be that good if their kid's under a car all the fucking time. Um, so Fire Red has very similar to one we saw earlier. I think similar to Gold, saying the body is covered by stiff needle-like scales. If it becomes excited, the needles bristle outwards, which I quite like. I like that we're getting a more offensive as well as
Mhm.
defensive look for it. Like I like that it is showing that it's more versatile.
Yeah. Well, you've got to bear in
Um,
mind as well. It said at the top. So, Fire Red and Leaf Green are the original Japanese ones. So this.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, Leaf Green has the same as Red and Blue. It's hard scaled, provides strong protection, uses hefty bulk to execute powerful moves. Um, Diamond and Pearl and Platinum. We've got the first bit of dick swinging, I think. Its entire body is armored with hard scales. It will protect the young in its burrow with its life. Like, how many Nidoqueens did you kill to find that out? Gentle
Ah.
Professor, you knob.
Yeah. Uh, but that.
But like I also like the idea that it says the young in its burrow because that suggests maybe community parenting.
Do you know what I'm also thinking? Right. I'm also thinking. Do you know another reason why I think that Nidoqueen might have been a little bit underplayed? Reading that Marowak.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So.
very true.
So yes.
There's already another Pokemon that protected its young with its life.
Yeah.
Heart Gold and Soul Silver are the same as Gold and Silver. Black, White, and Black and White 2 have the same as Diamond and Pearl. Tell you what, X and Y didn't actually change very much. Like X has the same as silver and Y has the same as gold. No, not the same as gold, the same as Fire Red. So it's just repeated those. I was really thinking they were going to pull it out and do something a bit creative with it, go in a different direction. But no, it's just reused them. That's I think because the others, like X and Y, have been really interesting. They've been some of the
Yeah.
more unique entries. Um, so Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby have the same as Ruby and Sapphire. Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee has the same as Yellow.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Sword and Shield. Uh, which I think might actually be the one I'm thinking of when I'm thinking of the better ones because these ones are really good. Sword has Nidoqueen is better at defense than offense. With scales like armor, this Pokemon will shield its Pokemon will shield its children from any kind of attack. I quite like that.
Yeah.
That shows it as like a quite powerful, very cool thing. And then Shield is quite cute. It pacifies offspring by placing him in the gaps between the spines on its back. The spines will never secrete poison while young are present. I like
Yeah,
that.
that's
That
pretty
is the
good.
most detail we've got so far. I would really like to see like a Nidoqueen walking around with a bunch of Nidorank hanging off his back,
Yeah.
and like you know, it hiding them somewhere safe so that it can start being poisonous if there's a really bad threat. That would be so cool to see. Like that is, I think that's my favorite one out of all of them by far.
Yeah.
And then Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl has the same as Diamond and Pearl.
Um, But yeah, that's that was. I don't know about yourself, but I felt like that was somewhat how I expected it to be.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, right, so should we have a look at Smogon? Let's see what it's doing. Okie doke, there it is in its full 3D glory. Um, uh, it's massive, massive bazongas in 3D. Okay,
um,
so it's in RU, which I'm assuming is rarely used.
yeah, that's
Rarely
fair. I
used,
can
yeah.
see that.
Um, Poison and Ground, HP 90, Attack 92. Defense is actually lower than attack, which
Despite them leaning into defense being better than attack.
yeah. Although special defense is higher than special attack. Um, and then speed is its lowest. So we've got here. Nidoqueen is an excellent offensive stealth rock setter and wall breaker thanks to its strong life orb and sheer force boosted attacks and its access to taunt and toxic. Its effectiveness as a stealth rock setter is bolstered by the fact that it beats almost every entry hazard remover in the tier thanks to its impeccable coverage. Nidoqueen's typing gives it an immunity to electric and useful resistances that allow it to check common Pokemon. However, Nidoqueen's average speed tier prevents it from outpacing common Pokemon such as Necrozma, Gudra, and Roserade. Nidoqueen also struggle to beat walls like Milotic, Cresselia, and Umbreon. Unless running toxic or niche coverage moves, for example, it can run Thunderbolt for Milotic or Focus Blast for Umbreon. However, Nidoqueen can still struggle to break through Pokemon even when running the appropriate coverage attack. One case of this is relying on the inaccurate Focus Blast to break through Pokemon like Snorlax and the aforementioned Umbreon. So, looks like there are better options available. It'll be interesting to see what they do for Nidoking later on. So, let's go for our second break.
Are we going to do a rating before we forget again?
God, this is what happens when it's been a million years. I don't get my timings right and forget the format
to be fair, we
of
forgot
our
on
show.
the last two episodes as well, and we didn't leave it a million years between those. We just forgot.
Yeah, well, what can I say? I am not a good person to expect consistency from.
Oh, yeah, valid. Me neither, to be honest with you. Me neither.
Right, so Nidoqueen, I'm gonna give. They're not very. Like I want them to have more.
Yeah, they're really underutilized. They're really underdone. I feel like those entries in Gen 9 were so good. They gave me so much more context about what this Pokemon is like in the wild, what it's like in its community, what it could do. And I feel like it's been really shafted in every generation before and since.
Yeah.
I am tempted to go and watch. I think I've seen the Gen 9 episodes, but I'm tempted to go back and watch them to see if they actually made use of Nidoqueen in the way that those Pokedex entries imply, because that would be really fucking cool. But because I haven't seen those, if they exist, and my experience of Nidoqueen is that it's just underused and kind of underserved and kind of meh.
Yeah.
I don't think I can give it more than a 4. And I
Oh,
think even then I'm giving it some pity points just because I want it to do better.
yeah.
Because it's got a sick design. Like,
I
yeah.
agree. I agree. They put massive tits on it. It's like
what's your number 4?
Well, that was the thing, right? I was thinking to myself, I should really give it a 6, and then I was like, well, I can't give it a 6, so I'm actually going to give it a 5, because it's like what you say. It's like it's been so overlooked and so underused that I just like if it had something better in the anime, if it had something better in the games, if it had better lore, if it just had something, if Giovanni had like a special one that he used, like
Yeah.
like, but it doesn't have any of this, and I think part of that is because they've split it. Like if Nidoqueen and Nidoking were one Pokemon, maybe it wouldn't have these issues. But you know,
Yeah.
we've got to
I
deal.
think you can, yeah, you can tell it sort of was split. And then I think like there's not a protective dad Pokemon, but there are two other protective mum Pokemons. And that means Nidoqueen gets really diluted
Yeah,
so that those like personal elements get like removed and put somewhere else.
yeah,
Um, and I think, yeah, it's a shame. It's really fucked it up. But um,
and it don't even have udders.
yeah,
Don't even have udders.
doesn't even have udders. Anyway, shall we take that break?
Yeah, let's do it. So yes, let's go into the
Okay.
break.
I am going to run and grab myself a cup of tea. If you would like to tell the good people watching at home, you know, what you're up to and when they can catch you, I'll be back in a minute.
Right, so here we go. I've got my Comedy Lab stuff. There we go. Look at that. These are my business cards. I'm also doing one-to-one stuff, and I'm also like gigging wise. I don't actually have too much on this month. I'm doing the next Blizzard. The next Blizzard BCBA, so I'm going to be looking forward to doing that. It's going to be me and Bobby Jones. That should be really fun. I have got I've started to get my previews in. Yeah, woo indeed, Safi, woo indeed. So we've got I've got I'm putting together my new show, which is called Success, which has been registered at the Fringe, and that's all beginning to start up, and that's going to be on at 3:50 every day at the Caves, and I'm also going to be doing a horror cabaret, which will be on at 11 o'clock at the Banshee Labyrinth. So those have both been confirmed. I'm on at the Comedy Balloon in probably shaping up for about 6 weeks time, and I'm also running Southport, and I've also got the Brighton Fringe, so any people who are down south, you can come see me in May, and that'll be for the horror show. Southport's also for the horror show. I've got 2 spaces left on my Comedy Lab workshops, so get those before they go. So those are on in about 5 weeks time, so those 2 spaces should sell out. So if people fancy them, those are on. I'm going to put a link in the chat. Let's do that now. What else do I have? Do you know, it's rare that I've got this little to plug, and I feel like, you know, not to big myself up too much, but I feel like I have already bigged myself up quite a bit, which speaks to how busy I am the rest of the year. What else have I got? So we will have the next one of these, but we have not decided when that's going to be. But we do have Clefairy and Clefable coming up, which we need to look. Oh mate,
Decide a date on. I know. I heard you saying that,
yeah.
and like
That's because I was struggling. I was struggling for stuff to come up with. Like, I mean, for you listening, did that sound like a lot of stuff I was plugging, or not very much stuff I was plugging? Because to me, it felt like not very much.
I mean, it felt like not very much compared to the amount of stuff you normally have to plug. Like, you normally do so much fucking stuff, and you're like, oh, I have a thing on every single day this month. And I'm also working on all these behind the scenes things. So, compared to like your usual output as a very prolific creator and performer, yeah, it didn't feel like much stuff. But at the same time, it's still a lot of stuff compared to most people. Like, I feel like you don't spend a lot of time just like chilling at home with your feet up.
Well, that's it, because I ain't got the time. I ain't got the time. No more. Like, genuinely today, I was by chance I had to go to the gym for 2 hours because uh, I got dropped off at the gym and I was getting picked up at the gym, and I could have like left early, but if I like hung around at the gym for 2 hours, I could I could get a lift home, and
Mm.
um, and those once I got past about 40 or 50 minutes, I was getting like really. I'm aware that this is not going to sound very healthy, but I was getting really itchy, going like I feel like my time's not being spent productively enough right now.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing. This is what so it's now nice enough weather that I can ride my bike again. And I go out for my full lunch break every single day when it's nice. And I haven't been out properly since the beginning of December. I was on like one ride like last week, but apart from that, it's been cold and icy and rainy and it's like and windy, like weather warning saying like don't go out,
Mm,
like it's too dangerous.
yeah.
Um, and like I got back into Pokemon Go because I went for a long walk that wasn't as boring.
Yeah.
Um, but oh my God, I went out for a proper bike ride today and I came back like disgusting and I felt so good. Like I started off just like, oh, I haven't done this in so long, like I feel like shit. And by the end I was like, I want to go again already. Like it was
Mm.
so good.
Yeah. No.
So good.
I do the same. It's like just as I finished, I was like I feel like amazing. You're like
Yeah.
now I've done it. Like
And
this
I'm
is.
like, I'm looking forward to the weekend when I don't have to be back by like a set time because I'm not on my lunch. Like I get my whole day to just
Mm.
like, but then I have to like ride around a city full of assholes, and I'm like, fucking hate tourists, fucking hate cars, fucking hate everyone who isn't me. And I get really bad road rage, and it undoes all of the like de-stressing
Mm.
uh elements of exercise. So I just get stressed again, being just surrounded by pricks. My
That-
dad got me one of those cameras
Oh,
you can put on
cool.
your handlebars.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I am so tempted. I haven't actually used it that much because I was originally thinking I'd just like get some nice shots of riding around London and put them up in like the,
Mm.
pay me to use this footage website so that like I get a bit of like cash for the bike ride I'm doing anyway of me like going over Tower Bridge because it's a touristy area
Yeah.
and like people want that in the background of their documentary or whatever. Um, but the more I think about it, the more I feel like I'm not going to do that. And what I'm going to do is like create like a TikTok
Oh,
of
cool.
people behaving like shit in the road.
Yeah.
Like people sitting in the cycle lane or like walking out looking at the phone. And I feel like if I look for it, I'm going to get angrier. So I shouldn't do that. But I'm just gonna be so angry all the time
Mm.
because not only am I experiencing someone like cut me up or walk out in front of me, I'm also then experiencing it again when I go to clip the video. Um, so I probably shouldn't do that,
No,
but like I am tempted, just I want to shame these assholes.
mate,
I was like,
shame
look
away.
where you're fucking going. You're a grown adult. Like, what are you doing?
Agreed. Right,
I get
mate.
so angry
I
about
need
having to
another
share the
way.
road with anyone.
So,
That's okay. You could have gone like 10 minutes ago and I would have just been here monologuing about assholes in the road. Don't worry.
mate, monologue,
Like,
monologue, monologue.
I mean, like, Saf and Johnny in the fucking chat definitely know this because you've seen me do it on Blizzard. It's my like go-to. I need to be angry about something. There's a cunt in my way in the road. Um, so yeah, I should really talk about things that are less bad than that. Um, some joggers today checked if there was anything coming before they just ran out in front of me. And I was so impressed by that foresight that I slowed down to let them go, even though it wasn't a zebra crossing. Just, I feel like you need to reward good behavior. Um, and I appreciate them for that because that doesn't often happen. I'm used to having to like swerve around people who think the cycle lane is an extension of whatever bit of the road they're supposed to be in. Um, what else is good? I mean, I don't have shows to plug because I don't. Well, I would have done if we'd done this show this time last week because I did a gig with my band, but we don't have any booked in at the minute. And Tom's already told you about Blizzard because he's doing it as well. Well, he's doing the Blizzard. I did the admin for it. Um, and there's more Blizzards. There's there's Live Blizzard in March is less than a week away, and we've got some tickets for that. Let me get that up for you. Um, that's going to be really good. Um, it's I think about half sold, which is normal at this point. Um, yeah, I am fucking mad about shitty chicken wings. Thank you. Like, I tell you what, I genuinely wish that bit could have been preserved because it was so funny how mad I was at that shitty chicken wing. And like that whole YouTube channel is gone, and everything with it, every clip, everything we ever did. Um, I'm like that was a really funny rant that I spontaneously did. Yeah, you're correct, Johnny. We've got like 13 tickets left, and if anyone wants to come, I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. There we go. Yeah, there's about half left, which is about normal for a week away from uh from the gig, I think. Like we normally get a big rush in the next couple of days. I'll do some plugs in the morning, it'll be good. Yeah. And like Richard Stott, I'm looking forward to having him on. I feel like he was on before and he was really good, but I actually forget everything about his comedy. Not because he's not memorable, but because I just watch so much comedy, they all sort of blur into one unless they're very, very distinct. But I feel like either he was funny or he was like really pleasant to work with. Um, Either way, I'm like, yeah, good vibes, pal, good vibes. Um, so it should be a good one, and I feel like everyone should go watch the show. Because who else we got? A bunch of people I don't know, but they all look very nice. Um, they all look like good eggs. Um, what are you up to? People watching at home. Um, what things have you got to plug? I don't know why I'm asking that. Like, Saf doesn't have anything to plug. She's not a performer, and Johnny is just plugging the same things that I am. Um, Mainly a couple. Well, I was gonna say a couple of gigs outside of Blizzard, but like I still will plug them on the Blizzard channel. So I feel like that comes under the umbrella of things that I spend my time plugging. I hope you have a nice bath, Johnny. Um, and that your work conference is not as boring as many work conferences often are. I hope you get to have as pleasant a work. I hope it gives you lots of good free food. Um, uh, and yeah, that's what I hope. I hope that all of your meals are subsidized and delicious at your work conference. Um,
I
how you
feel,
doing, Tom?
yeah, I'm alright. I feel like I've come into quite a nice socialist
I
chat.
ran out of things to plug really quickly, so I just started chatting to Johnny. And they're getting a bunch of free food at a work conference tomorrow, so I am very pleased.
Very nice. So I've eaten a biscuit. I've eaten a biscuit,
Nice.
and I'm just hoping to God, like, I mean, we were mentioning that, like, exercise before. I feel like, right, I'm going to tell a story. I wasn't imagining that I was going to tell in this podcast, but I feel like one of the reasons why I'm chugging so much water today is because I got stuck in a sauna today for like far longer than I wanted to, because this person was basically talking politics at me, and I was like, I really want to go, but it feels rude to go. And then I looked at the time and I'd been in there like 20 minutes, and I feel like I've had like a red face all day, and I'm like really, what's the word? Really, I'm really like dehydrated and also super hydrated at the same time. So I went downstairs and ate a load of sugar because I'm trying to stop myself from I don't know, slipping into a coma.
Yep, fair.
But as a result, it's never happened before when I've been like, oh my god, I I will literally piss my pants if I am on this podcast for any longer. But I was genuinely, I sat there, I was like, NidokingQuenn shouldn't be that long, and then I was like, it doesn't matter how short NidokingQuenn is, you have to go.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, that is very true, Saf. Water poisoning is a thing. So I'll try my best to not be poisoned. I'll tell you what, if I am poisoned though, that could be good publicity for the podcast.
Would it?
Yeah.
Would it? Would it?
What, on a poison Pokemon? Yes, sirree.
I'd still prefer it if you weren't poisoned.
Well, do you know what? If I am poisoned, that's a lot off my to-do list.
Yeah.
Right, well, on the note of poison, shall we go into the next episode?
Let's do it.
Right, boom, Nidoking. Have you had one? What's your memories?
Yeah. I have had one. I got it up to, fill the decks, and then I chucked it in the box like I did with all these Pokemon I ever fucking use. I did say, and I've brought this up in the previous ones, that I wanted to do a replay of Let's Go Eevee where I used a Nidoking. Um, and I got it up to a Nidorino and I just wasn't using it. It wasn't good. And I was just like, I'm gonna chuck it in the box. I'm sorry, it just doesn't get used. It's not a good. If I was going to, I would need to construct a team around my Nidoking in order to properly you could utilize one.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't doing it. I was like, right, I'm going to think of some Pokemon I don't use much from the first generation, ones that didn't really get a shot. And honestly, the reason I didn't get a shot is because you get them so late in the game. All of the fire Pokemon are so late in the game. Some of the really good water Pokemon come really late in the game. I just didn't there is a reason I never used a Dugong, even though I think they're fucking cool. There is, and I know you get Nidoking, you get Nidoran fairly early on, but Nidoking just didn't really feel like it was doing much for me. So I didn't even so I used it as Nidorino for a bit, got a Moonstone, evolved it, and then fucked it off because it's just not. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Apart from that, my memories of it are Giovanni has one. There's one in the movie that Mewtwo fights, but there's some scattered around in the background, and they always look big and cool and scary. But again, I don't remember a whole load of plot lines that stand out to me, and I feel again, it's very similar to Nidoqueen in that they gave it kind of a one note role.
Yeah.
And didn't develop too much of a backstory or personality. I feel like we're going to see something very similar to the Pokedex entries for Nidoqueen, where all of them they've basically focused on only one thing rather than working together to develop a really interesting and well-rounded backstory up until Generation 9, where it's just going to be absolutely excellent.
Yeah. I mean, my guess is that they're going to go with it's really angry. I feel like that's the route they're going to go with. And again, I feel like it's probably going to be a bit of a missed opportunity where they could have gone down there. I mentioned Lionesses before. They could have easily done Nidoqueen's the actual hunter-gatherer kind of provider, and Nidoking's the one that stays with the pack. I feel like they could have.
Yeah.
They could have done that.
Yeah, it could have been a really cool sort of switch up, and they clearly have chosen not to go with that.
But yeah, I do. I think it's going to be. I feel like it's going to be. It gets really angry. It gets really big. It gets really aggressive. And they're going to go down there. If you try and attack a Nidoran,
Nidoking will appear out of nowhere and fuck you up.
Yeah. So the ones that I think of, I immediately thought of Gary Oak's Nidoking. I mean, he had one. I think Giovanni's got one. I want to say Blue in the games have got one.
Yeah.
I want to say in Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu when am I right in thinking Blue is the Vermilion City gym leader at that point?
Yep.
Yeah,
I
so
think so.
I want to say he might have one at that point. Um, um, I get the feeling that this is possibly going to be like they're probably going to do it slightly less dirty as a result. Like in the game, I feel like out of the two, there's the more chance that people are going to
Yeah.
use Nidoking, and I think that they're going to. I think that that's going to be shown in. It's going to have slightly better kind of offensive, defensive capabilities versus what we saw with Nidoqueen. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I say, I mean, the thing that I was shocked about with this was that I was like, okay, I know that Gary Oak's got one, and I know that it fights Mewtwo, and for some reason I had misremembered that as them having more significance than they did.
Mm.
Like, I mean, when you think about that fight, like, did you feel like Nidoking had like a big, a big role in it?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's very blurry. I remember like the bits where like it's Nidoking versus Nidoking, Charizard versus Charizard, that sort of thing, more than I remember the bits with Mewtwo fucking them all up because they're all kind of there,
Yeah.
you know. It, it's been too long since I watched it, I think.
Tell you what, right? I'm going to say this, and you might say, "Oh, well, you're actually wrong there." But like, I, I've always felt like they're missing a trick, not having, in the same way that like Pikachu has like alternative costumes. Like they can wear a
Yeah.
hat and stuff. I've always felt like you should have the option to do like armored Mewtwo.
Yeah.
And it looks like how it does in the anime. Um, with like the lit up eyes and all the kind of
Yeah.
all the tubes and the piping and stuff. Um, but yeah, that's like I say, my main memory of Nidoking it turns out is more of an Arcanine memory.
Yep.
So that probably
And you've just superimposed Nidoking over the top.
yeah. Um, and now I know a bit about writing. Like I know that they did that to like emphasize that like Mewtwo can like fuck up two Pokemon.
At the same time that
Yeah.
are both known to be powerful Pokemon as well.
Um, but yeah, it's what I suppose I was getting at is I feel like it's slightly more memorable than Nidoqueen.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Um, so should we have a look at the dex entries?
Let's do it.
Fantastic. There they are. Here we go. I think that picture there looks very similar to the one that you drew.
I think that is the sprite art that I was thinking of when I drew it.
Mm.
I think I think mine's maybe a bit fatter, but we all know I do like a fat Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I feel like I've gone straight from belly to spines in the back. And
Yeah,
it's kind of yeah, I don't know.
yeah. He like this official artwork. I feel like he definitely looks more like he's been in the gym than
Yes.
yeah, like he's got that kind of like thinness at the sides. Like I feel like I imagine him with more of a dad belly.
Yeah, me too. And I think like looking in the back where I think he's got more of a shell than I was picturing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Um but yeah,
I feel like
and yeah, he's got like some fierce abs going on.
yeah
I
he's
reckon there are some monster fuckers out there that would do Nidoking.
oh yeah. Yeah, there's some way. I mean, if there's people out there milking Nidoqueen, there's a good chance that they also want to milk Nidoking, if you know what I'm saying.
Ugh. Should we read these Pokédex entries?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So,
Right here.
Red and Blue says it uses its powerful tail in battle to smash, constrict, then break the prey's bones. That is some dick swinging already, isn't it? That is already quite the claim.
Yeah,
And
that
I
already
actually
feels
am just
better
like,
than Need a
I
Queen.
would also like to point out that like if you look at the move set, it actually doesn't learn any tail-based attacking moves by leveling up.
Mm,
It doesn't even learn tail whip, which you'd think would be a pretty easy one, but you can teach it via TM Iron Tail. So, and Poison Tail by breeding. So apparently its tail was important enough to mention in its Pokedex entry, but it doesn't actually have any tail-based moves in the first generation.
yeah, I was going to ask if it learned Constrict as a result of that that entry.
I am very confident that it can't. I didn't even, I'm gonna look, but I'm pretty sure it
Yeah,
can't.
I'll tell you one other thing as well.
No, it can't. It's mentioned in two Pokedex entries and the Bulbapedia bio that it constricts, but it does not learn the move constrict.
Ridiculous, ridiculous.
In what what on earth are they thinking?
I've immediately thought to
Anyway,
myself, right, well, now Nidoking it cannot get 10 out of 10 on the Trubbish rating. Not that it ever was going to get that
it was
anyway.
not going to. It was not going to.
um,
Um,
but,
Yellow continues to dick swing.
mm,
Its steel-like hide adds to its powerful tackle. Its horns are so hard that they can pierce a diamond.
Jesus Christ. All Nidoqueen got was scaly.
Yeah, it's like scaly and
And a,
won't give
and a
up
mob.
until you kill it.
Yeah.
Um, Stadium, very similar, has a rock hard hide that is worn like armor. The long horn on its head is sharp and highly venomous. So, like here, we're seeing some versatility in how Nidoking attacks.
Mm.
I don't think we see the same versatility in its move pool, but we see some versatility in the Pokedex entries, which is interesting. Uh, and definitely less one note than Nidoqueen. I
Yeah.
wonder why.
It wouldn't surprise me if they go, okay, we got this cool like entry for Nidoqueen. Uh, it uses its powerful tail to battle to smash, constrict, then
Yeah,
break. And they
like
go, oh, just give it Nidoking and come up with a new one.
yeah, Gold is sticking with the tail, despite it not knowing any tail type moves.
Yeah,
It swings its big tail around during battle. If its foe flinches, it will charge with its sturdy body. Silver, sticking with the tail. Its tail is thick and powerful. If it binds an enemy, it can snap the victim's spine quite easily. I feel like tail is a euphemism for something
maybe.
that like if a Nidoking has a small tail, he's going to be sensitive about it,
Yeah, yeah.
swinging his thick, girthy tail around
You know what they
to show
say?
his masculinity.
Yeah. You know what they say about
Uh,
Nidokings with small tails? Small socks.
small socks. So Crystal expands a little bit. It uses its thick arms, legs, and tail to attack forcefully. Melee combat is its specialty. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Stadium 2 is copies Gold homework again. Ruby and Sapphire,
I don't
despite
consider I don't consider Nidoking like a tail heavy Pokemon.
no, me neither. Like I know it has a tail,
Yeah.
but like I don't think of it as it being one of its primary things. I'm honestly surprised it wouldn't use its horn
Yeah.
more because it's very prominent on its face.
Do you know what I think happened? I think that they went similar to what happened with Nidoqueen. I bet you they had a load of horn stuff and they were like, well, we've just sorted out Rhyhorn and Rhydon.
Hmm.
You better
And
that.
Goldeen and Seeking also have horns.
Yeah.
There are lots of Pokemon with horns in the first one. Dugong has a horn.
Whereas in the first gen, I can't think of any others that I'm like, okay, that's like very tail specific.
Donking great big tails, yeah.
Mm.
Well, Ruby and Sapphire have continued on the theme, and Emerald is basically the same as well. Nidoking's thick tail packs enormously destructive power. With one swing, it can topple a metal transmission tower. Once this Pokemon goes on a rampage, there's no stopping it. Why do I not remember an episode where a Nidoking on a rampage knocks over a metal transmission tower? That is such a distinct, specific thing.
Yeah,
And Goldenrod City, no, that's in Generation 2. But like, why didn't they use that? I don't
agreed.
remember Ruby and Sapphire having like a major transmission tower. I remember Goldenrod in Gen 2 having the radio tower,
Mm.
but like I don't like. I remember Gen 3. It's like one of my it's like my favorite generation up until Gen 9, which is now edging it out. But like, why has like why did we not see this?
Yeah,
Like, why are they not making use of this?
agreed.
I'm offended. I feel like we're missing out on some like cool Nidoking content.
Yeah, well, who comes up with this, and why was it not used?
So Fire Red has a back is actually focusing on the horn,
Yeah.
which I think is interesting.
Well, this is
It's
the first one, though, isn't it? This is.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is recognized by its rock hard hide and its extended horn. Be careful with the horn, as it contains venom. I don't see much dick swinging in that. I think saying it contains venom is like a lot more understated than some of the other stuff we've got about the level of poison you'll experience if you so much as touch something. Leaf green has the same as red and blue.
Yeah.
Diamond, pearl, and platinum back on the tail. One swing of its mighty tail can snap a telephone pole as if it were a matchstick.
Oh,
Um,
wouldn't you be annoyed? Wouldn't you be annoyed if if you had like a really important business meeting and then like why couldn't you join that Zoom call?
Nidoking fucked up the fucking telephone pole.
What? First it's the metal transmission towers. Now it's the telephone poles. They fucking get rid. Get rid.
Heart gold and soul silver have the same as gold and silver. Black, white, and black and white 2 have the same as diamond, pearl, and platinum. X has used same as red. Be careful with its horn. Y has gone back to this telephone pole like a matchstick.
Yeah.
Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire have taken the same one as Ruby and Sapphire. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee have taken the one from Yellow. All right, here we go. I quite like this one because this gives the context of community in Sword.
Ooh.
When it goes on a rampage, it's impossible to control. But in the presence of a Nidoqueen it has lived with for a long time, Nidoking calms down. I like that.
Yeah.
I think that that shows that Nidoqueen's nurturing role has something important instead of like just children. I don't love the implication that like fragile male tempers need to be calmed down by a long-suffering woman.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, we're talking about animals here. So if it like, you know, if you were to see that like in a setting in nature in the wild, I think that would be quite an interesting thing to observe
Yeah.
in say like, you know, the next Legends game, if you're wandering around a little bit of area that has some wild Nidoking and Nidoqueen, just seeing it happen in the background would be fucking cool.
Yeah. I see. It makes me want to watch like a Nidoking, Nidoqueen like sitcom or soap opera.
Yeah. So yeah. Shield has it prides itself on its strength. It's forceful and spirited in battle, making use of its thick tail and diamond crushing horn. So I think it being prideful is a new and interesting development, but otherwise that's not much new information.
Yeah.
And Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl is back to the telephone pole. So there we are. Nidoking done.
Fabulous. So, well, let's have a look at the Smogon entries and see if they have continued to do Nidoqueen dirty. Right, so okie doke. So we've got what's you. Underused.
Underused?
So
I couldn't believe that.
second usage turbo. So it looks like it is slightly better because rarely used was the third used. Third used, and
Okay.
you can already see there that it's. I think its stats are better. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
flip between the two. So, um, hey, it's got lower HP. So it's HP
Mhm.
81 versus Nidoqueen, which is on 90, but its attack is 102
Mhm.
versus Nidoqueen's attack, which is 92. Defense is 77. Does Nidoqueen have a higher defense? Oh, Nidoqueen does have a higher defense.
Okay.
Uh, and Nidoking has got a higher special attack, and so they've got flipped. They've got flipped for
Yeah.
that.
I think
And oh, here's another way that they've done it dirty a bit. So Nidoking has got a speed of 85 versus
mhm.
Nidoqueen, which has only got a 76.
Okay.
So they've given it higher
Well, I guess if
stats.
I guess that kind of makes sense if like Nidoking is like out there swinging, he has to be quick, and Nidoqueen is doing the like barrier.
Yeah,
Like I feel like they could probably make an interesting like doubles team. I
yeah,
feel like if they had um uh like optimized it a bit more creatively to be a good doubles team, that would make for some really interesting like team building options.
yeah,
But I feel like we haven't, if I'm honest with you. I feel like they designed them to be in parallel, obviously very early on because it's Gen 1. And what they haven't done is like revamped them much as new mechanics have been introduced.
yeah,
Um, I think they have been overlooked as the game has developed and as new battle structures and battle techniques have come into play, in a way that, yeah, makes them a little bit disappointing because the premise of them opens itself up to a lot of possibilities that just haven't been taken advantage of,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. I'd agree with that. It's um, it's. Let's have a quick just read of what it says on its overview. So already I feel like they're fucking sucking Nidoking's dick, right? Nidoking's oh, winds me up. Like, sucking his tail.
Sucking his poisonous horn.
Whoever fucking yeah, poison indeed. That's just full of poison. Uh, Nidoking's amazing, and the poison is toxic masculinity. Um, Nidoking's amazing offensive typing combined with its ability Sheer Force turns it into a very powerful wall breaker in the underused tier. Between its stab moves and Ice Beam, Nidoking is able to hit the majority of the tier super effectively, meaning it has a very flexible last move slot for another option such as Substitute or Taunt. By virtue of its typing, Nidoking is able to check Pokemon like Tentacool and Primarina offensively and switch into Pokemon like Klefki and Zeraora with ease. Furthermore, Nidoking sets itself apart from its counterpart, Nidoqueen, thanks to its better speed tier and better overall offensive capabilities. However, its average speed tier makes it slower than Pokemon like Latias, Hydreigon, and Crocodile, meaning it can be easily revenge killed. It's also held back by its weakness to common typings in ground, psychic, water, and ice, making it easily exploitable by Pokemon such as Crocodile, Latias, Starmie, and Kyurem. Nidoking's mediocre bulk also makes it hard for it to find opportunities to switch in. So even in that overview, they still took a stab at Nidoqueen, unnecessary.
Very rude of them.
Yes,
How dare they?
yes. So what is your Trubbish rating for Nidoking?
I don't know. I feel like probably the same as Nina Queen, probably still a four. Like it's underutilized. I feel like there's a lot of missed potential. I feel like it's memorable because it like looked cool when I was a kid and impressionable, but apart from that, just doesn't have enough going for it compared to what it could be.
I think. this is. It sounds like this. I really wish I gave like half ratings, or we decided to do this out of 100 rather than 10. Because really, I want to give it a 5.5, but really, I'm gonna have to give it a 5.
Yeah, I think that's very valid.
Yeah. But it's a high 5 versus NidokingQuenn, which was more of a low 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So we have actually done a short one.
Pretty short one. I mean, it's still like an hour and 45,
Yeah.
but that includes like, waiting to start waffling about our shit and a break. So I
Yeah.
think this might be our shortest episode yet.
Yeah.
And I waffled on about like poverty and the marshmallow test for 10 minutes at the beginning. So
Uh,
apropos of absolutely fuck all.
You've got to bear in mind though, right? I'm saying this, right? So it's 1 hour 45. We have essentially spoke about the same Pokemon for like 6 episodes. So when I put this all together as like one big, it's going to be about 7 hours.
Are you gonna do one big one for like all of the Nidoran line?
Well, I was thinking at the very least, NidokingQuenn, like Nidoran male and Nidoran female, would get their own collected one. But I put them out, so there you go. Follow us on YouTube, etc., etc. But I generally like collect them and this is how it went out. But for this, I've been like, oh well, maybe I should have them all together. What do you think? Do you think have them all together?
I think just do them as ones. Just do them as ones. Like I think that's going to be the most consistent. Is fine. It'd be fine.
Yes. Well, and that avoids us being like, and we spoke about this because like the first one was easily like 3.5 hours, and the other one was easily like 3 hours.
That one where you were like, oh, should we do them all together because it'll be really quick? It fucking won't, mate. It fucking won't.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about in 2023. Those are simpler times. But yeah, if I put them all together, it would easily be. Now I'm working it out easily an 8-hour clip.
Yeah, do them as ones. Just number them like the Pokédex does. Do them as ones, and that way it won't mess up the sort of structure when you look at it and it's like the episodes corresponds to the Pokédex number.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Right then. Well, thank you for watching this 8-hour epic.
8-hour deep dive.
Where we said nothing for 8 hours.
When do we ever say anything, Tom? We have this whole Pokemon fucking podcast that exists just for us to like waffle on about horse shit that has nothing to do with Pokemon or anything.
I don't know.
Like, have we ever stayed on topic once? Going off on some bullshit that's just nothing to do with anything.
Armadillos can be milked. I would say that was very on topic.
Armadillos can be milked.
Right.
But NidokingQuenn can't.
If there you go on that bombshell. Good night.